Okay, so does somebody want to like summarize for me what you guys talked about or share any wisdom you have to offer about what this is about? Josiah. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else anyone's dying to share? Josiah, the other Josiah. Wow. Crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Crazy. Anything else? Any other thoughts? Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. 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 Mm. Yeah. 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 That's a cool thought. I like that. It's really cool. Anything else? Any last? Yes, little. Mm. Yeah. The drama. Right. Yeah. Hmm. Mm. Yeah, that's cool. I like that a lot. Nice. Anything else anyone has? Okay, great. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so very basically, Paul is writing about two different but very important guys in this passage. And he's talking about first a man named Timothy. And does anyone know anything about Timothy? Do we know his claim to fame? We do? Oh my gosh. That's amazing. I don't think I knew that. So yeah, wow. So that shows us that he's pretty cool. um, no. Okay. So yeah, Timothy is basically, how would I describe Timothy? He is like the Robin to. I used this analogy earlier with Josiah, and I was like, good, bad, yeah, right, exactly. He is the Robin. He is the Bonnie to the Clyde. He is like Paul's spiritual wife, essentially. He is like his sidekick. I know I'm going down a weird route, but like, stay with me. Yeah, he is Paul's like secondary person essentially in starting the church. So the way that Paul refers to him is how? A son. Yeah. His actual son? No, for sure not. Paul was celibate, supposedly, like apparently never married. We don't actually know. It's up for debate. But he was celibate. So, what does he mean when he's calling Timothy his son? Why is he choosing to use that language? He says it in verse 22, but you know that Timothy has proved himself because as a son with a father, he has served with me in the work of the gospel. He also, if you didn't know, Timothy gets his own feature of books in the Bible, 1st and 2nd Timothy, also in the New Testament. And the way that those books start, the way that Paul refers to Timothy at the beginning of those books, is he calls him his true son, quote unquote, true son. Paul doesn't ever speak this highly of any other person that we know of during that time. This is the highest reference that Paul has ever given someone. And what's more is not only is he referring to Timothy this way, but he also says back in Philippians 2, verse 20, I have no one else like him who will show genuine concern for your welfare. That verse is so important because the word that Paul chooses, that word, the word for genuine, the Greek word, he's not just saying that he trusts that Timothy is the right guy and is going to be a good pastor for these people and he's going to fulfill all their needs. But the word that Paul uses for genuine here, it means that Timothy considers his concern for people as that of his birthright. Or we would say today that he considers his concern for others as if they were a part of his own family. So Timothy really deeply cares for these people. More than, in the same way that you care about your family and would show up for your family. Maybe you wouldn't, that's okay. There's other people in your life that maybe you feel this way, but it's that kind of care. It's deep. So then Paul moves on and he contrasts saying that with this trait that most people, and most certainly the ways of American society are today. In verse 21, he says, for everyone looks out for their own interests and not those of Jesus Christ. That's what he leaves us with, which really hits to my soul, honestly. I'm like, that's me. Hello. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Timmy is this exceedingly swell guy. Paul thinks that he's going to be the most incredible qualified person to take over running the church of Philippi in the event of Paul's absence. That's his job. So let's talk about the next guy. Anyone brave enough to say the name? Epaphroditus. I just call him Pap. Yeah, I just like to make the nickname because I don't really want to say Epaphroditus this whole time. So I'm going to call him Pap. How does he refer to Epaphroditus? Brother, warrior, holy moly. Soldier, close. Yeah. Coworker. Yeah. Yeah, so sick, get sick. He's a sickly guy. Working. Yeah. He was sick literally and figuratively, for sure. So he refers to him in a similar familial way. He calls him his brother, he calls him a coworker, and he calls him a fellow soldier. So to make the distinction, he doesn't just call him a worker or a soldier, he calls him a co-worker, a fellow soldier. So they have a relationship. And it is also stronger than his relationship with other people. So, Epaphroditus, he is a guy that appears to be a messenger, in fact, from the church at Philippi. And they sent him to Paul in order to help take care of Paul while he was imprisoned, which quite honestly confuses my mind. I don't know how that works. Like, do you go in the jail and like, here's some chicken? Do you get arrested for that? I don't know. So I get confused with that, but he does it. And we know that Pap was sent to Paul specifically from this church to bring him what I'm assuming are gifts that allowed Paul to continue to survive, to preach the gospel in Rome. It's like getting a care package from your parents at college. Like a person comes and delivers it. That'd be crazy. And they're like, hey, I'm here to do your laundry and whatever else you need. Like, that'd be wild to get that and a care package from your parents. I'd be like, oh my gosh. Also, absolutely not. I'll do that. Okay. So anyways, off track. So he brings him gifts, and we know this because it's confirmed at the end of Philippians. Paul talks about him again, gives him a little last, like, hey, thanks, guy. He says I have written down, verse 18, woohoo. I have received full payment and have more than enough. I am amply supplied now that I receive from Pap the gifts that you sent. They are a fragrant offering, an acceptable sacrifice, pleasing to God. So it's clear that this guy is also worth mentioning for Paul, as well as describing his character and talking about his well-being and his status. He talks about him being sick. So why does Paul consider this guy to be so important? Why does he choose to talk about this? Yes. So good. Yeah, that's literally it. Right? Pap has this near-death experience during his time providing help to Paul in Rome. And Paul is saying to the church at Philippi, by telling them about this, he is telling them that this is one of the greatest honors in the pursuit of building God's kingdom. He's highlighting it. When the Bible talks about something a lot, it's important. He's highlighting the fact that he almost died for the sake of the gospel. It's important. Why is that important? What does that point towards? Sorry, I don't want you to feel like a middle schooler. Jesus dying, Weber! Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, for sure, right? This is exactly what Jesus does for us. He gave up the entirety of himself, not just like a little portion, didn't just like carve out time on a Saturday night to have dinner with friends. He literally gave himself fully to the point of death and beyond. And that's how Paul is describing this guy's character and also Timothy's character. He's talking about both of these men that he's worked with very closely. And he is saying, I have been these guys' spiritual mentor, and I testify that this is who they are. They are honorable Christians who are capable of leading because they carry deep and genuine concern for others. Timothy, of course, for the church and the people, and Pap for the genuine care and concern for Paul. So now, I have some questions so that we can process this further and figure out what does this mean for us in our lives. So the goal of these questions, of course, is I want us to, discover and discern a few things for ourselves. The first really is I want us to consider how we are as Christians and how much we are actually placing God at the center of our lives. Like, how much do I really look to Jesus as my actual Savior in the day-to-day decisions and things and all of it? And how much do I offer up to the Lord to be truly Lord over? And the second consideration is of the importance of getting spiritual care or having spiritual guidance or mentors in our lives. Because something that is really easy to miss about this passage is that Timothy and Pap didn't get the way that they are or were on their own. They didn't become these super sick dudes on their own. They needed Paul. They needed guidance from mentors. So, that being said, I really want you to consider the importance of that in your own life. Maybe you need a spiritual mentor, or maybe you already have it, or you have a spiritual director. I don't know. If you're unsure of who it could be, ask yourself, who could that person be in my life? Maybe who's already in my life, and if not, who could be? And I would say for me, it's a few different people. So don't think like it has to be this one person and it has to like be, the Paul Timothy type mega thing. Like, it doesn't have to be that crazy, right? It can just be a friend that maybe is a little further than you in their faith that helps you along. It can be whoever it is that's in your life. Maybe it's a parent. I don't know. But for me, yeah, it's a few different people. And really because I just need a lot of affirmation. But also, seriously, I really do need a lot of affirmation and just to be confirmed, right? That like God is really saying what I think he's saying to me. And yeah, I don't know. I that seems like it just works that way for me. So, but anyways, yeah, so that's enough of me talking. You guys can talk about these questions and then we'll close in worship and communion in a little bit after you guys chat. Thanks, guys.